Hello everyone. In today's lesson we're going to be deepening our understanding of area. Here are 4 get-ready questions to prepare us for our learning today. Give them a go. Here are the answers. Number 1. 9 centimetres is equal to 90 millimetres because we know that there are 10 millimetres in 1 centimetre. Number 2. 30 is equal to 6 multiplied by 5. Number 3, we've got a squaring question. 5 squared is equal to 25. And number 4, 100 is what squared? Well, we know 10 times 10 is 100, so 10 squared is equal to 100. So the answer there is 10. Let's use the grid to help us understand how to write units of area. We can see, if we look at the top right-hand side of the grid, that we have some labels that tell us that each of those squares in the grid are in fact squares, because all the sides are 1 centimetre long. What's the area of one of these small squares? To calculate the area, we'd need to multiply the base times the height. 1 times 1, which we know is equal to 1 centimetre. But it's equal to 1 centimetre squared. How do we write 1 centimetre squared? We'd write 1 cm for centimetres, and then we'd write that small 2 to the right and just above the cm, there. And 1 cm squared, centimetre squared, that's a unit of area. All units of area, metric units of area, need to have that small 2 slightly above and to the right. And you remember, that's how we were writing squared numbers. 5 squared, we'd write the little 2 just above the 5. Here we have a rectangle shown on a very similar grid to the grid we've just seen, because we can see in the top right hand corner there, we've got the labels that tell us that each square is 1 centimetre long and high, therefore the area of each square is 1 centimetre squared. How are we going to find the area of this rectangle? We can see that the rectangle has 2 rows. There are 2 rows. In each row, there are 6 squares. Therefore, there are 12 squares altogether. Why? Well, we could of course count up the squares in this case because there aren't many squares. Counting to 12 doesn't take us that long. However, we can see we have 2 lots of 6, 2 rows of 6, which is 2 multiplied by 6. We know from our times tables 2 times 6 is equal to 12. Therefore the area of the rectangle is 12 centimetres squared, because remember each of the squares is 1 centimetre squared. The area of the rectangle is 12 centimetres squared. How do we write that? 12 cm and then the 2 just above and to the right of the cm, and we'd read that 12 centimetres squared. Have a think about completing those sentences about that rectangle. In this case, there are 3 rows. We can count down 1, 2, 3. There is 1 square in each row. There are 3 squares altogether. Our multiplication would be 3 times 1. We have 3 lots of 1, 3 rows of 1. 3 times 1 is equal to 3. The area of the rectangle, therefore, is 3 centimetres squared, which we write 3 cm and then the small 2 above and to the right. You're now ready to make a start on the worksheet. Have a go at questions 1 to 3. So far we've been using the grid to help us, but we don't need the grid if we're given the side lengths of a rectangle to find its area. We have here a side length of 3 centimetres and 7 centimetres. Therefore, the area of this rectangle will be 3 multiplied by 7. We could imagine the rows of squares inside if we wanted to. 3 times 7 is equal to 21 centimetres squared, of course, because we're dealing with area, it's going to be a squared unit. Have a think about the area of that rectangle. This rectangle has a mix of units. We've got millimetres and centimetres. The first thing we need to do is change either millimetres to centimetres or centimetres to millimetres. it will probably be easiest to change our millimetre measure to centimetres. And then we have 4 multiplied by 2, or 2 multiplied by 4 of course. 4 times 2 is equal to 8. The area is 8 centimetres squared. We mustn't forget that small 2 above the cm. Here we have another shape. We're told it's a square, and we're told one side is 9 millimetres. Do we have enough information to find its area? We do, because we're told it's a square, which means every side is 9 millimetres long. We could label another side as 9 millimetres. 9 times 9, well, that's equal to 81 millimetres squared. We could also write that as 9 squared, and that's why we use the word squared when we're dealing with squaring a number, because 9 squared means 9 times 9. Because if we have two sides that are 9 millimetres in this case long, we have a square. 9 squared equal to 81 millimetres squared. Here we've got a rectangle, and we are given two sides, the length of two sides. Tiny says the area of this rectangle is 4 metres squared. Have a think about why Tiny is incorrect. Tiny is incorrect because with this rectangle we do know two sides, but we know the opposite sides to each other. That won't help us find the area. We need to know the adjacent sides to each other. In other words, if we know one of the vertical sides, we need to know one of the horizontal sides. For example, that side. We don't know that side, so we don't actually know, we can't calculate the area of that rectangle. Here we have a situation where we're not asked to calculate area because it's given. We're asked to calculate a missing side. Let's think about what we know about this rectangle. We know its area is 72 metres squared, and one side is 6 metres. We can show that situation with this number sentence. 6 multiplied by something, and that's the missing length, is equal to 72. We can use our 6 times table knowledge to know that 6 times 12 is equal to 72, and therefore the missing side there is 12 metres. And to check, of course, we can multiply 6 times 12, and we should get the answer 72. Have a think about the missing length of that shape. We're told that we have a 1 centimetre length, and we've got a missing length. The area is 17 centimetres squared. Well, we don't know our 17 times table, but I don't think it really matters, because we know that 1 multiplied by 17 will equal 17, therefore the missing side is 17 centimetres. It's now over to you to finish off the worksheet for this lesson. Have a go at questions 4 to 8.